Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when you're standing at the edge of who you are and who you could be. It doesn't happen in a stadium full of cheering fans. It doesn't come with applause. It comes in silence. When you're alone with your truth, it whispers, "This is not where your story ends. You may be tired, you may be broken, but hear me when I say this. You are not finished. You've been counted out before, underestimated, overlooked, told you weren't enough. But if you've survived every hardship, every heartbreak, every setback until now, then what makes you think you're not built for the next level? Not the version you show to the world, not the one dressed in filters and fine words, not the half story you've learned to tell because it's easier than unpacking the full weight of your reality. I'm talking about the raw, unfiltered, unpolished truth. The one you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. The one that shows up in the middle of the night when you're lying in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering how you got here and where you're supposed to go next. You cannot change what you won't confront. You cannot rise from a place you're unwilling to acknowledge you've fallen into. We've been conditioned to smile through it, to push through it, to post through it. But sometimes the bravest thing you can do, the most radical act of self-love, is to pause long enough to say, "This is where I am, and I don't like it." Or, "This is who I've become, and I don't want to be this anymore." That's the beginning of real change. That's the seed of transformation. When you stop pretending, when you stop performing, when you stop hiding behind distractions, you open the door to possibility. Because what we don't often realize is that healing doesn't begin with action. It begins with honesty. Maybe your truth is that you're exhausted from holding up a life that looks good but doesn't feel good. Maybe it's that you've spent years trying to be what someone else expected of you, and in the process, you've forgotten how to be yourself. Maybe you're afraid to speak up because somewhere along the way you learned that your voice didn't matter. Or maybe you've been hurt so deeply that you built walls so high even you can't see over them anymore. Whatever your truth is, you need to face it, not with shame, but with compassion. You can't shame yourself into greatness. You can't bully your way into purpose. You have to meet yourself with kindness, with grace, with a willingness to see the whole picture, even the parts that are messy, complicated, and painful. And here's something important. Telling the truth doesn't mean telling everyone. This isn't about making public declarations or exposing your wounds to the world. This is about you, your mirror, your journal, your moment. This is about peeling back the layers of survival and getting reacquainted with who you really are underneath it all. We live in a world that teaches us to curate our lives, to present the highlight reel and hide the behind the scenes. But your power doesn't come from your performance, it comes from your presence. It comes from being rooted in something real. And the truth, your truth, is the soil that roots you. There is freedom in facing yourself. There is clarity, there is power. When you start with the truth, you stop wasting energy pretending. You stop pouring yourself into things that aren't aligned with your values, your soul, or your calling. You stop chasing approval and start living from integrity. That's when things begin to shift. Not because you finally figured everything out, but because you finally stopped lying to yourself. It's not always easy. Sometimes telling the truth means walking away. Sometimes it means starting over. Sometimes it means admitting you were wrong or lost or afraid. But that's where growth lives, in the discomfort, in the undoing, in the sacred space between who you've been and who you're becoming. The world will tell you to keep moving, keep producing, keep pretending, but the truth invites you to slow down and listen, to check in with yourself, to ask the hard questions. Am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I living my truth or someone else's script? Starting with the truth doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being honest about the questions. It means being real about the fear, the longing, the dreams you've buried under practicality and politeness. It means honoring your story, even if it's not the one you thought you'd be living. You owe it to yourself to tell the truth, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because anything built on a lie, even a beautiful lie, will eventually crumble. But when you build on truth, you build something that lasts, something that heals, something that matters. So wherever you are, whatever you're going through, start there with the truth, because that's where the light gets in. That's where your power begins. No matter how heavy it feels, no matter how long you've carried it, no matter how many times you've been told that your past defines you, it doesn't. It may have shaped you, but it does not own you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not your darkest day. So many people live in silent captivity, chained to events, choices, or circumstances that no longer exist except in memory. And memory is powerful. It can be tender or it can be tormenting. But it is not prophecy. It doesn't dictate your future unless you give it permission to. Sometimes we become so fused with our history that we begin to believe it's our destiny. We wear the labels. We accept the shame. We replay the same stories over and over in our minds until they feel like the only version of ourselves we're allowed to be. But here's the truth. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow who you once were. You are allowed to move forward, even if the world tries to keep you stuck. There is no rule that says because you've been broken, you must stay broken. There is no law that says if you once failed, you must always fail. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've made decisions you regret. Yes, maybe you've hurt others, but remorse is not a life sentence. Pain is not a permanent identity. The beauty of being human is that we are always becoming. Every single day is another chance to rewrite the narrative. The problem is, many of us have been conditioned to see our past as a verdict, like it stamped something on us that can't be undone. Maybe it was an addiction. Maybe it was a relationship that left you wounded and questioning your worth. Maybe it was a childhood that didn't feel safe or nurturing. Maybe it was a period of your life when you were surviving, not thriving. And even now, years later, that part of you still lingers. It whispers you're not enough. You're not clean. You're not worthy. But those are echoes, not truth. They are remnants of a mindset that no longer serves you. You do not have to keep living in the house of your former self. You can leave the door open. You can walk out. Healing is not forgetting. It's not erasing the past. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's standing in the rubble and saying, this tried to break me, but I'm still here. It's reclaiming your power one piece at a time. It's saying, I've learned, I've grown, and I refuse to be held hostage by who I used to be. There is a version of you waiting to be discovered, a version that isn't defined by wounds but by wisdom. You don't owe anyone the old version of yourself. You don't have to keep shrinking to fit back into stories you've outlived. You don't have to keep showing up as who you were when you've worked so hard to become someone new. Freedom begins with forgiveness first of yourself. That's the hardest part, isn't it? To look at your own reflection and say, I forgive you for not knowing better. I forgive you for staying too long. I forgive you for giving up on yourself. And then after that, you say, I choose differently now. I move differently now. I think differently now. And I deserve a life that reflects who I am becoming, not just what I've been through. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. Your future does not have to look like your past just because it started that way. There is no shame in beginning again. In fact, that's where the courage lives, in the decision to rise, to try, to believe in something more for yourself. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you're still stuck in a story that ended long ago. But stories can be edited. Stories can evolve. And you are still writing yours. So let the past be what it was, your teacher, not your warden. Let it inform you, not imprison you. Take what you've learned, take what you've survived, and use it as the foundation for something new. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. There comes a time in your life when you have to make a choice. Not a loud, dramatic, world-stopping kind of choice, but a quiet, soul-defining one. A choice between what's easy and what's meaningful, between being liked and being real, between popularity and purpose. And that's not always a simple decision because we're human. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to feel like we matter. And in a world that constantly measures your worth in likes, followers, applause, and approval, it's easy to fall into the trap of performing instead of living. Easy to mold yourself into who people expect you to be instead of becoming who you truly are. But chasing popularity is a race with no finish line. No matter how much validation you collect, it will never fill the space that purpose occupies. Because popularity is rooted in perception, what people think of you, what image you present, how well you fit into whatever mold is trending at the time. But purpose is rooted in authenticity. It doesn't change with the seasons. It doesn't rise and fall with opinion. Purpose is constant, even when it's quiet, even when no one else sees it. The danger in choosing popularity is that you start to believe that your value depends on being accepted. You dilute your truth. You shrink your dreams. You compromise your voice for the sake of applause. But the applause always fades, the trends always shift, and when the noise dies down, you're left with yourself. And if you've spent your energy being someone you're not, that silence can feel like a stranger. Living with purpose means choosing the path that aligns with your soul, even when it's not the most glamorous. It means saying no to things that glitter but don't grow you. It means being misunderstood sometimes. It means being willing to disappoint others in order to not disappoint yourself. It means knowing that you're not for everyone and finally being okay with that. There is a unique calling on your life, a voice that only you have, a light that only you can shine, but you can't answer that calling if you're too busy trying to get everyone to like. You can't serve the world from a place of fear. You can't lead with impact if you're afraid to stand alone. Sometimes your purpose will require you to walk through loneliness, through doubt, through rejection. But those moments are not punishment. They're preparation. People may not understand your decisions. They may question your motives. They may distance themselves when you stop playing the role they preferred. But their misunderstanding does not mean you are wrong. It means you are stepping into something deeper than surface level approval. You are choosing meaning over metrics. You are building a life that matters, not one that simply looks good from the outside. And here's the truth. Purpose lasts. Purpose sustains you when you're tired, when things aren't working, when the praise is gone. It reminds you why you started. It keeps your feet on the ground and your eyes on something bigger than yourself. Popularity fades. It's fickle. 1 minute you're the favorite, the next you're forgotten. But purpose, real soul level purpose, will still be standing with you when the crowds are gone. You don't have to sell your soul to be seen. You don't have to betray your truth to belong. The right people will find you when you live with honesty. The right doors will open when you walk with integrity. You don't need to chase everything. You just need to align yourself with what matters most. So ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What legacy do I want to leave? Do I want people to remember how liked I was or how deeply I lived? Do I want to be famous for a moment or impactful for a lifetime? Because the world doesn't need more people who are just liked. It needs more people who are lit up from the inside with a fire they refuse to let die. People who wake up every day and choose purpose, not perfection, not popularity, but purpose. You already have that fire inside you. It's the part of you that knows intuitively that you're here for more than applause, that your voice has meaning, that your presence has weight, that your life is not a performance, it's a mission. And once you start living from that place, everything changes. Not because everyone else claps for you, but because you finally start clapping for yourself. Not the kind that comes from controlling others or chasing titles, but the quiet, unshakable power that comes from knowing who you are, deep down, beyond the masks, beyond the noise, beyond the expectations that the world tries to place on your shoulders. For too long, you may have been taught to believe that your power lies somewhere outside of you. But it comes when someone validates you, chooses you, promotes you, loves you, or approves of you. But the truth is, your power was never meant to be outsourced. It was always meant to be claimed from within. There's something sacred about stepping into your own authority, about standing tall and saying, this is my life, and I get to decide what it looks like. It's not arrogance. It's not defiance. It's ownership. It's the moment when you stop apologizing for taking up space, when you stop seeking permission to be whole, to be bold, to be seen. Claiming your power means rewriting the rules that no longer serve you. It means questioning the beliefs you've inherited from other people, beliefs that taught you to play small, to be quiet, to stay safe. It means being willing to disappoint people in order to be true to yourself. And it means recognizing that your worth isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to speak your truth. You are allowed to walk away from what doesn't honor you. You are allowed to be powerful and still be kind, strong and still be soft, clear and still be compassionate. Your power doesn't make you dangerous. It makes you effective. It makes you magnetic. It makes you real. But claiming that power, that's a choice, a daily moment by moment choice. Because there will always be forces that try to dim your light, people who benefit from your silence, systems that profit from your doubt. But your power doesn't disappear just because you've been told to sit down. It just waits patiently for you to pick it back up. This is your reminder. You are not helpless. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You have a voice that can move rooms, a mind that can solve problems, a heart that can heal, and a spirit that can lead. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be present, to be honest, to be you. So stop waiting for someone to give you the green light. You are the permission. You are the authority. You are the one you've been waiting for. Take your power back. Use it to build, to uplift, to liberate, not just yourself, but others too. Because when one person claims their power, it gives the rest of us the courage to do the same. Pain is a language we all understand. It doesn't care who you are or where you come from. It arrives uninvited and often overstays its welcome. But pain, as unwelcome as it is, carries with it a hidden power. Not because it's noble or fair, but because of what you can choose to do with it. Pain can break you, yes, but it can also build you, sharpen you, awaken you. The difference lies in whether you let it define your story or refine your strength. We live in a world that tells us to run from pain, numb it, deny it, distract ourselves from it. But there is something transformational about sitting with your pain long enough to hear what it's trying to teach you. Something honest, something deeply human. Because pain always leaves a message behind. It's a mirror showing us where we've been wounded and where we need to heal. And when we choose to face it instead of flee it, it becomes something more than suffering. It becomes fuel. Some of the most powerful people in the world didn't rise in spite of their pain. They rose because of it. They took the shattered pieces of their past and turned them into purpose. They didn't wait to be rescued. They became their own rescue. They didn't let their heartbreak turn into bitterness. They turned it into wisdom. That's what turning pain into fuel looks like. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about using the fire that tried to burn you down to light the way forward. Your pain is not pointless. It has depth. It has lessons. It has the power to shape your perspective, expand your empathy, deepen your courage, but only if you're willing to feel it, to move through it, and to decide that it's not going to be the end of your story. The truth is, pain changes you. It just does. But you get to choose how. You can let it harden you, or you can let it humble you. You can let it make you bitter, or let it make you brave. You can let it close your heart, or you can let it crack you open in a way that makes you more real, more grounded, more awake. So don't hide your scars. They're proof you survived. They're reminders that you didn't give up, even when it hurt. Use that. Use what you've been through as motivation, as direction, as clarity. Let your pain fuel the next chapter of your life, not weigh it down. Let it drive your growth, not your grief. You are not what happened to you. You are what you build from it. We talk about legacy like it's something distant, something that begins after we're gone, something written in stone or whispered in eulogies. But the truth is, your legacy doesn't begin at the end. It begins right now, in the small choices you make when no one's watching, in the way you show up for your life today. You don't have to wait for a title, a platform, or permission to make an impact. You are already leaving a mark, whether you realize it or not. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every time you choose courage over comfort, that is legacy in motion. That is how it starts. People won't remember everything you said. They may not recall every detail of what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. They'll remember whether you showed up with love, with integrity, with presence. That's the echo of your life, the part that lingers long after the moment has passed. Living the legacy now means living intentionally. It means asking yourself, what do I stand for? What values am I embodying today? Am I living in a way that honors who I truly am? Because if you want to leave something meaningful behind, you have to start building it now with your actions, your voice, your choices. This isn't about being perfect. Legacy isn't perfection, it's presence, it's purpose and action. It's being awake in your own life. It's using your time, your gifts, your influence, no matter how big or small, to create something that reaches beyond you, not just when the cameras are on, but especially when they're not. It's easy to think legacy belongs to the extraordinary, the famous, the powerful, but some of the deepest legacies are quiet. They're not written in headlines, they're written in hearts. A teacher who believed in a student no one else noticed. A parent who broke a cycle. A stranger who offered a smile on a day it was needed most. These are the invisible legacies, the ones that never fade. You don't have to chase greatness to live a great life. You just have to choose to be fully here, to be kind when it's inconvenient, to stand up when it's uncomfortable, to forgive even when no apology comes, to love like it matters because it does. Everything you do matters more than you know.